So in your rooms or wherever you are, if you need to whisper, maybe you're in a coffee shop or something, I don't know.
You say it
Try
to your
and say.
Who's in the room with you or your
Call
kids.
the cat over.
Yeah.
And say these four, well, say that one sentence, these four different ways. See if you can hear the difference in how you're saying it. Think about the pronunciation issues that might be coming up.
I'll do the first one.
Wait. Because there's a poll. I'm going to launch the poll, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so listen, Tyson is actually we're going to test you on this now. So I'm going to launch a poll. Tyson is going to pick one of these contexts, and he's going to say it in one of these four ways.
And it may or may not be the first one, just so you know.
All right, and then we want you to vote. Okay, so let's see if I can. Okay. I think I could just launch the poll, right?
Well, yeah, okay.
You need to say it first?
I'll say it first.
Okay, ready? Tyson, drum roll.
I don't know what to say.
Ooh.
So in this poll, now you just pick which one you think I meant.
Are you seeing the poll, Tyson?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, close the poll. Share results. Were they right?
Well, some of them are right.
Was the majority right?
Yes, actually. Yeah,
interesting.
That was the one that I was going for. Was the third one. I don't think I know you would after all.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. I'm going to launch my second poll. Okay, so this is me. Hopefully you can still hear me.
Yep.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say.
So which one did Tanya mean that time?
I think people are changing their vote. They're thinking about that. Okay, 5 seconds, and we close the poll. And? Do you agree, Tyson?
I agree. I think that's the one.
You guys are right.
Yep.
Absolutely. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. Absolutely. Now, the interesting thing is here, what is actually happening? I mean, we can actually recognize the difference. And I mean, even it can be a very subtle difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't pick number one because obviously it would be like, oh, I don't know what to say. So there's a lot happening in that one. But what about the the fourth one? I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, very almost staccato in a way, right?
Yes. Think about how many words are stressed. There's a lot actually happening there. So, there's we've got rhythm. We've got which words are being stressed. We've got what happens to the connections. Which words are actually being connected in that I don't know what to say. Can you feel any emotion? Does your voice go up or down? Is there a specific intonation? Do you speed up? Do you slow down? Do you pause more? All of these things are a fascinating component of our system of language, of English language, and how much meaning actually comes across through the noises that we make like this. That we often, we spend so much time connecting meaning to grammar and meaning to vocabulary, and in my opinion, not enough time connecting meaning to pronunciation.
Yeah, it's something that's really, not spoken of very much in most lessons or course books. I mean, maybe teachers are sometimes afraid to pinpoint rules and so on.
Exactly.
For fear of
I mean,
being wrong.
there aren't necessarily, I'm not sure that there are even rules. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen a resource that says, at this speed, with this number of words stressed in the sentence, chances are the meaning is negative or, exhibiting frustration or whatever. But I think this is really significant. I mean, like even something as simple, I saw somebody the other day go to sit down in a chair, and somebody who was sitting next to that empty chair said, oh, there was a coat on the chair, right? But it wasn't that obvious. It was kind of hanging off the back. The person went to sit down, and the other person sitting next to the empty chair said, that's my coat. Now, the way it was said, that person really, they knew, oh, okay, the chair is taken.
Right.
Well,
whereas a lot of students may not make that connection and say, well, I didn't ask you if that was your coat or not.
Exactly. Or they might pick it up off the chair and go, oh, here you go then. Hand it to them and sit down. You know? Like there's so much involved with, you know, what we consider innocent sentences, but the tone, the pitch, the speed, how many words are stressed, there's meaning in there, you know, and I think that this is a fantastic activity that really highlights that connection. And there's quite a few like this. There's other things like the door is open is another innocent sentence, and yet that also means a lot of things like, you know, door's open, come in,
right?
You know, versus the door is open, you idiot, you should have closed it.
Or the door is open.
Yeah, no wonder it's cold.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's so much happening, and there's so much richness in message that gets across through pronunciation. And I think there's such a lack of activities that highlight this and make students aware of that connection. So anyway, I've probably gone on about this activity far too long. I just love it. Okay, now, let's go on to another activity.
Question though, does the textbook give the teacher any suggestions as to how to highlight the pronunciation differences?
Not so much. I mean, there is the idea of like what we just did, where, you know, students speak to each other, they have to pick a context, they recognize a context, that type of thing. So it really is just kind of training their ear and then seeing if they're able to come out with it or not. And then the idea of, you know, maybe even having it up on the board and saying, okay, well, what is actually happening between these two sentences, that type of thing.
So what if the teacher needs to actually say these things in the 4 different ways, you know, to give the students some you know, platform or some beginning to understand the differences.
Absolutely.
I mean, just putting the students in groups and saying, okay, say this in different ways, you know, it might be a little blind, leading the blind in that case.
Well, it's interesting, yeah, and I mean, I think it would, you know, you've got kind of issues with, you know, some cultural backgrounds, I think, can you know, translate this very easily from their own language and put that speed and rhythm and pause, you know, kind of feel that, get that emotional element in, and other cultural backgrounds might really struggle with it. So,
and it might serve, you know, learning about culture as well, you know, because one culture says it a certain way, and the teacher would possibly say, okay, well, actually, that has a totally different connotation to it than in English than it does in your language.
Oh, it's fascinating. I've used that activity, and it's, you know, so many times, and it's always just been, you know, talk about light bulbs going off and students really understanding the importance of that type of stuff.
There's a quick question from Mary Therese, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Does the textbook provide PowerPoint slides or overhead transparencies for the things you're showing us for the teacher to use in the classroom?
That's a great question. It doesn't provide slides or transparencies, but it does provide tables. So the activities are all laid out in the book, so it would just be a case of you photocopying that particular table onto an overhead transparency. The book is just in kind of, you know, your normal paperback book format, I guess. Yeah, good question though. Okay, so let's go on to this activity. Some of you have probably read through this already while we've been talking, and this one comes from the reading and speaking section of the book. Now with these activities, the emphasis is mainly on intensive reading skills, but I think in very fun and interesting ways that tap into a variety of sub-reading skills. Now, there's 2 stories here that have been chopped up and mixed together. Obviously, they're kind of short stories, because if they were too long, I think the activity would get just a little too crazy and take too long. I think there would be an exhaustion factor involved there.